playing a sneak and show deck. They're in game 2 with Ian Brown up a game.
Yeah, and this is a peculiar stare down.
Well, it's not the most stare downy of a stare down, seeing as Jace the Mind Sculptor currently has 13 loyalty.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Things are coming to a head rather rapidly.
All right, fine. This has been a peculiar stare down. One we can only assume.
Yeah, the old Jace versus Jace that never happened back in the days when Jace was played in Standard.
The new Jace versus Jace.
Yeah.
And of course, this is a matchup. This is a show and tell mirror, which puts both players in kind of a weird bind. If they cast show and tell and don't have the biggest, scariest thing, then they can be in trouble. And normally, of course, these decks are built so that they always have the biggest, scariest thing. But Brad Rutherford in particular can show and tell an Emrakul into play and be way outclassed.
Now, keep in mind, this Jace Ultimate is not as lethal as it would be in some formats, just because even if Rutherford successfully exiles Ian's deck, it is possible that he just keeps going, that he can still win, if he still has an Emrakul. But he does not.
Oh, okay, picks it up. Okay. And that is going to tie up the match, it looks like. So,
yeah, we're going to go to game 3. Let's take a look. What kind of sideboard options does Ian Brown have against Sneak and Show?
So Ian Brown has a lot of one-ups, because he is a Cunning Wish deck. So 4 Cunning Wishes in the main to go and fetch a Snap, a Pact of Negation, a Mindbreak Trap, an Intuition, a Wipe Away, a Release the Ants, that would presumably be the win condition, a Quicken, a Slaughter Pact, a Ravenous Trap. And then backing that up, he has 2 Defense Grids and 4 Leyline of Sanctity. So I don't think Leyline of Sanctity does anything in this matchup.
No, definitely not enough.
Defense Grid, I can get behind that.
Would have protected him that game from Jace's Ultimate, but...
Not is that
the
a
problem?
thing?
Oh yeah, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Sure.
The problem is that they still have a Jace, so you're not really actually coming back.
Fair
it's
enough.
Gonna take a while.
All right. So, but if you have Jaces too, so you can shuffle away those ley lines. I'm not sold. All right. So yeah, Defense Grid. I could see arguments either way for that. Brad, of course, does have Force of Wills and Spell Pierces, although he can just fight over the Defense Grids with those. Oh, yeah.
That's the whole purpose of Defense Grid is you need the Defense Grid against the Force of Will decks because you're not going to drop it until a spot where it's actually going to be gold for you. And it doesn't mess up very many of his own cards. He just has 4 Force of Wills, whereas Rutherford could potentially have, like, for instance, he has Spell Pierce.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well... One thing that does do that kind of messes with Ian's game plan is it does turn off his end step Cunning Wishes. So I can imagine a lot of situations where Ian Brown would want to pass with mana up to cast Cunning Wish and just kind of see what happens there.
Now, having Pact of Negation, Mindbreak Trap, and Quicken all in the sideboard, I think he's going to want to keep either Mindbreak Trap or Pact of Negation in the sideboard, but it is possible that he boards some kind of a counter magic in just to have a little bit more juice.
Yeah, that's fair. Although he doesn't have a lot of dead cards either.
Yeah, not going to see a whole lot over there. On the other side, though, Rutherford has 2 Swan Song, 2 Blood Moon, an Echoing Truth, a Jace the Mind Sculptor, a Python Needle, 2 Grafdigger's Cages, 2 Besija who shelters all, 3 Pyroclasms, and a Through the Breach. Not going to see too much transition here. There is a little bit of, for instance, obviously Swan Song is a totally reasonable, fast piece of interaction. Beyond that, though, not a ton, right? I mean,
I would be inclined to bring in the extra Jace.
I always bring in the extra Jace, though.
Sure.
The only reason I don't bring in the extra Jace is if I had it in the main deck.
Yeah, that's fair, which you probably would.
No, see, I don't know. Paris, I played a Tezzeret deck with 4 Tezzeret in the main, 3 Jace in the main, and 1 Jace in the sideboard to board in against people that Jace is good against.
Fair enough.
We call those decks.
Although, to be fair, that was a format where you could not pitch Jace to Force of Will.
No, yeah, you didn't really have Force Will, but it was, there was enough fast aggression that you actually,
sure.
Besides, had to win a prop bet against Rietzel. He thought there was no way I wouldn't play 4 Force of Wills, or 4 Jaces in the main deck.
You showed him.
All right, Brad, playing out an island, both players are going to just be developing their mana bases, but both players capable of exploding at any moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these decks have a lot of deck manipulation. 4 Brainstorm, 4 Ponder, 4 Preordain from Ian Brown, and 4 Brainstorm, 4 Ponder.
And that's to say nothing about Intuition and Cunning Wish, and Personal Tutor.
And Jace.
Yeah, I mean, that's all kinds of business.
Yep. Actual just mono business. Business to find your business.
Mono business mid-range.
Is that the
That's the clinical term.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind. I'll let our guys know when they enter these decks into the top 8.
Here we see another brainstorm. Ian trying to sculpt the perfect hand to force through his combo.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, show and tell really unreliable here. Whoever, I am not even sure that either player would leave it in this situation.
Well, yeah, I mean, Brown does have access to Dream Halls, so he
Right.
doesn't need the show and tell, but he'll probably keep at least one just because of the option to go find it in certain circumstances.
Yeah, well, Ian can win the turn that he casts show and tell.
Right.
Whereas Brad generally needs to wait a turn unless he's show and tells in sneak attack.
For the sick, yeah, it's like a lotus petal.
Yeah, well, it happens every now and then. It's like an illusionary mask too, you know? It's like, do you want to counter this? No, kill you.
Absolutely.
So that's a weird line that can happen, but like, yeah, generally Ian, if he is casting show and tell, he is going to put in something that kills you.
The tough thing about Ian's show and tells, though, if Rutherford drops a Grizzlebrand, he could actually potentially just draw cards until he finds Force of Will.
Right, and that's the risk that Ian is taking there. Yeah, Brad is representing, I can put in Grizzlebrand and draw 14. Whereas Ian is representing, I can put in a bigger, scarier threat than you.
Absolutely. So, Ian pondering, continuing to look for more library manipulation, a little bit of counter magic, but mostly just trying to set up Dream Halls and something unbeatable.
Yeah, so the kind of way that Ian is actually going to finish a game here. He is going to put Omniscience into play either through Show and Tell or Dream Halls, and then Cunning Wish for Release the Ants and cast it over and over. Well, having said that, I skipped a step. He is going to use Omniscience to cast Enter the Infinite, and then draw his deck and put an Emrakul back on top, so that the top part of his deck has a convert mana cost of 15.
Yeah, or Enter the Infinite or whatever he wants at that point.
Sure, yeah. And then he is going to do the Release the Ants over and over and over.
Yeah, we saw Ian playing earlier, and he definitely has gone off enough times that it was like watching a Russian ballet. He just all the motions were so graceful, everything timed perfect. This is not Ian's first time releasing the Ants.
No? All right. It was not John Torres' first time oops all spelling either. This has been a tournament full of experienced combo players.
Yeah. What I want to know is how you guys managed to have a non-combo match last round. I leave the booth for one round, and I hear about Esper versus, Delver or whatever.
I did that on purpose. I threw Cedric a bone because I know he...
Dude, I love seeing all these combo decks. The turn where they actually go off is usually pretty sweet. Here it looks like Rutherford is making his move. Is this going to be a sneak attack?
It looks like, and we see at least a force.
This is the showdown.
Okay.
I believe definitely the showdown.
Yeah, another force in Brad's hand.
This is the showdown.
No, okay.
And the battle is over.
Yeah, I think that was an Emrakul that I was seeing was the force.
Yep.
Okay, so Ian does manage to keep that sneak attack from entering play. Now, he did lose his Enter the Infinite in the process. So that could have been a crucial combo piece on his end.
Yeah, he does have 3 more in his deck, so it's not like he's in any way, this is messing anything up long term. It just means that at the moment he has nothing and he's going to have to completely rebuild.
Yeah. Yeah, Ian's deck is more of a 3-card combo, whereas the traditional Sneak and Show build, really you can assemble it however you want. Yeah, one of either Sneak Attack or Show and Tell, plus one of either Grizzlebrand or Emrakul. But Ian, on the other hand, has to... he does have multiple ways to get the Omniscience into play, but he has to find Omniscience, and then he has to find Enter the Infinite.
Yeah, so I mean, he can just Dream Halls and then Enter the Infinite.
Oh, sure. Okay.
But if he doesn't have an actual Enter the Infinite, he has to chain a lot of other things together, Mm-hmm. And as you said, he just pitched his the one copy of Enter the Infinite he had.
And Enter the Infinite, the one piece of the puzzle that does not have a redundant version somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can go without it.
I guess you have the one Emrakul.
You can go without it, but it's not the same combo. No. It's not the same sort of thing. You don't get to do all of the things.
And we see a Jace in Brad's hand, so...
That's an excellent card in this, like here we're at a spot where both players have depleted each other's resources. A Jace could be game over if unmolested for a couple of turns.
Yeah, like once the dust is settled, we've had the first shootout of Force of Wills. Being able to face seal your opponent every turn.
And you can keep.
Can you? That could be dangerous.
You just say it, and then they crack their fetch land.
Oh, sure.
That's how it works. You
Okay.
look at their card, you can't tank. You look at their card, and you snap, say keep, and then they shuffle.
Okay. Have you ever been called when you did that?
It's impossible. I've only played Magic against human beings in spots like this, and
Okay.
human beings are not capable of calling there. It's impossible.
No?
No human being could possibly call you there. They will always fetch. Your only possibility is that, like, for instance, if they're like 6 years old,
Yeah.
they might not know to crack their fetch land.
Okay.
Nobody
All
ever
right.
doesn't crack the fetch land.
Fair enough. All right. We can't see Ian Brown right now, but I got a good look at him earlier. I believe he is older than 6. A
And now
grown
he's
man,
cracking
Ian
the
Brown.
fetch land.
All right.
This is what happens. This is
Nice.
cause and effect.
I am learning things. You wouldn't just take one peek? You know, like we're
You
settling.
take a look and you say you can keep it.
No, but on the other side, you're settling in for a long game. You're going to get fate sealed more turns than just this one. So let them see what they do. You know, like, oh, you're going to let me keep that one? Take a peek.
Well, I obviously always do.
And if it's a land, you're like, okay, he's not messing around.
No,
But-
I obviously always call the first time.
okay.
I'm just saying when you do it the other way.
I got you. All right. Okay.
No, you got to sell it. Nobody's ever let me keep and been confident.
Sure. That's fair.
A little too confident, you know.
All right. You got to be on the next level, right?
Yeah, definitely. Chase taking another look.
Can you keep that one? He has no
Less
fetches
likely.
left, so
Less likely.
yeah, can't run that trick again. But he's thinking about it.
Yeah, because the thing is, he can theoretically just deny the other cards, you know? He's
Yeah.
doing the math of how many cards will I have to deny if I let you keep this.
And the appeal there, actually, for Ian is that he has an Emrakul in his hand. So, or sorry, for Brad. Brad has the Emrakul in his hand. So if he lets Ian have a show and tell and figures that Ian might cast show and tell into Omniscience and then not have the Enter the Infinite, which is likely since we've seen that he's pitched one already, then Brad actually just gets to put Emrakul into play for free and win the game the next turn.
I think you just want to quiet things down, though. I mean, Jace is 2 turns away from ultimating. You know, in ultimate, you never survive. I think that Brad just wants things to not, you know, he wants things to be as not risky as possible. Just ride this Jace to victory.
That is true, although this land might complicate things. That Bojangles who shelters all. I'm never sure how to actually pronounce that card, so. Yeah, that means that no matter what Brad has to sit behind, he can't actually stop a show and tell from resolving.
Yeah, which is why he needs to just make sure the top cards of Ian's deck are not something worth show telling in. We are getting down to it. This is going to be Ian's last draw of a new card.
And okay, and he is going to take a peek at a card that Brad did not see.
Yeah, because Brad had to put Brainstorm on the bottom.
And he goes digging.
Preordain's a great one in this spot, and that's the game. Ian Brown is defeated by Brad Rutherford with his Sneak and Show deck, a.k.a. a Jace the Mind Sculptor control deck.
They all are, right?
They all are. They either are or they wish they were. Okay. That's the way it is in Legacy.
It's interesting, you know, like way back, you'd have combo decks that would board in like Phyrexian Negator as kind of the juke. And in modern Legacy, the kind of like sideways threat that you blindside them with is a 4-mana Planeswalker that draws cards.
Yeah, well, I mean, he does a little bit more than just draw cards, too. I mean, Jace the Mind Sculptor is the ultimate card against anybody doing anything remotely fair that also happens to be absolutely incredible against anybody doing anything unfair.
Sure.
Jace the Mind